Alright, hello everybody, welcome to today's lesson. Today we're going to look at Southeast Asia and imperialism. So the region of the world that we're talking about will be Southeast Asia. So this country right here, this would be China. So this will help familiarize yourself with where we're kind of talking about here. So, if you can kind of picture that on a world map about where we're talking. A lot of the imperialism that's going to take place in the Southeast Asia is going to be a lot of the island nations, such as the Philippines, what we know today is Vietnam, New Guinea, places like that. So a lot of these island nations we're going to see and countries taken over by European powers. So that's kind of our talk today. So our objectives and standards to explain European imperialism in Southeast Asia and to analyze the impact of imperialism in Southeast Asia. And take a moment here to read the standards if you would please. And our desired result. What were the goals of Europeans in Southeast Asia? So the Dutch. So we've kind of talked a couple months ago now about the Dutch East India Company looking for land in Southeast Asia. And the discovery of tin and oil in the region also prompted their responses to kind of explore and take control of this region. There was also a high demand for rubber as well, and Dutch plantations began to develop in the Southeast Asian nations. Many Dutch also moved to the area and created a social class system that put them at the top. So we'll talk about the British. The British imperialism in Southeast Asia. Great Britain wanted to compete with the Dutch. Obviously, a common theme among European nations in terms of imperialism was competing with each other. And they found a harbor on Singapore and used it as a port for tin and rubber. And they also landed in Malaysia due to its resources of tin and rubber. France, this map here shows you some of the French colonies. So these blue and white flags here represent France. Blue, white, and red flags, I guess I should say. But this over here would be Vietnam. So this country it will be known as French Indochina, but it will later become Vietnam. And then we have some other countries as well. Siam, we'll talk about Siam in a little bit. You'll notice that Siam does not have a flag there because Siam will be one of the Southeastern Asian countries that remains independent of European control. But you can see that France had a good portion of control of this region as well. Again, you can see all the red, white, and blue flags there that represent France's territory there. So the French had been involved in the area for some time. They controlled modern-day Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos. Like I was just saying, it was known as French Indochina. The French had direct control of the country from politics to economy. So remember that indirect control is when the European powers would appoint colonial leaders to rule those countries, such as with Britain and India. Great Britain had Indian leaders control the country. France, on the other hand, had French leaders. They had actual French leaders control the regions they were in control of. So they controlled everything from politics to economy to pretty much everything in Asia. And this is going to lead to conflict between the French and the Vietnamese especially. And later on down the road, we'll see how this plays into a power struggle between the two of them later on in world history. So the impact of imperialism in Southeast Asia, we'll begin to see economies begin to prosper in the region. Some transportation systems improved as well. There will be improved health, education, and sanitation. And mixed ethnic groups came to the region. So we had Europeans that came to the region. We had, Southeastern Asians that came to the region. Many different people that came to the region. But work and tensions quickly rose between the two of these and created problems day to day. So, like I was just saying, there was one country that remains independent, and that was Siam. So Siam was able to remain independent of European control, even though both the British and the French were in control of it. Siam is going to use itself as a natural boundary to them. Okay. So since they were able to protect themselves a little bit, put two in them, and Siam will actually modernize. Remember, a lot of imperialistic countries like in Africa and Asia felt that if they could modernize, that maybe they would be protected from European powers. So Siam did modernize under King Mongtut, gentleman right here, and his son. I'm gonna do my best with his name, Chudlakhorn. So both of them were able to help modernize Siam, and this helped keep European powers away from them in a way. So how did Siam modernize? So you can see here Siam, or what was Siam here. So you can see that there. Vietnam, Cambodia, China's up here. Siam started, excuse me. Siam started schools and reformed their legal system. They also reorganized their government and built transportation and communication systems. They also ended slavery. So again, because of all these modernizations, they were able to keep European powers away. So our closure, what were the goals of Europeans in Southeast Asia? Think of some of the things they were looking for, what were they trying to do, and that will help answer your questions. All right, so I hope you have a great rest of your day or evening. Talk to you soon.